Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to talk about Fruits Basket, the anime. If you love Fruits Basket, you need to check this movie out. The story of Fruits Basket, the Prelude, focuses on the life of Tohru Honda's mother and her father before their unexpected passing. The beginning of the movie shows what happens between Kyo and Tohru within the second half of the series that was aired in 2021. This time, the series greatly portrays the tragic roots of the zodiac and the interaction between the cursed vessels with the main character Tohru. In comparison to the earlier rendition of the manga series, this mob the banquet going forever failed to understand that things will not always stay the same. By forcing immortality onto the zodiacs, they became linked to each other, including as the future incarnations realized, this love was twisted and cursed. However, along the way, they saw the good-natured heart of Tohru and started to see the light that is found in the world. Moreover, the love stories portrayed in the series were beautiful despite the ugliness of the world. Natsuki Takaya, the person who wrote the series, often sees the wrongdoings of society, namely adults who were just outright abusive and manipulative to their flesh and blood. This is because they were unable to handle their own trauma, but this always results in an innocent life being hurt, thus creating a trauma that stays within the characters for a long time, leaving them to fend for themselves and at times hurting others because they do not know how to handle their pain and sufferings. This story of Kyoko Honda and Katsuya Honda shows that this world is not as ugly as it seems by finding solace in a person who loves you and finding everlasting love within each other. Their story begins with Kyoko sleeping on the streets because she had gotten hurt from a fight and had to rest. We then see Kyoko's father kicking her out of the house. The family situation of the female lead is not great. Kyoko is constantly pressured by her criticizing parents who only know how to point out her flaws. Rather than helping her, they prefer to berate her, in turn pushing her to join a gang and not care about anything. She still goes to school, and in spite of it being filled with other problematic students, she is there because she has no other place to go. She particularly loves the roof and being alone, as that is what she has been doing the majority of her life. Then came Katsuya, who is a teacher in training that is working at the school. His first interaction with Kyoko was not as expected because it seemed more of an adult dealing with another kid than a budding romance. Kyoko was swinging around a chair in the room because she had gotten in trouble for a gang fight. After everyone runs out, Katsuya was the only one left, and he asks, "What do you truly want?" And Kyoko's response was to be cared for, to be loved, and for someone to be there for her. As Kyoko breaks down in tears to Katsuya's question about what she had wanted, we see how little Kyoko's parents cared for her. Kyoko acts out only because she wanted attention and love. This was something Katsuya understood, and then he took her out to eat ramen. Here he even goes as far as calling her Miss No Eyebrows. And no matter how cute of a nickname that is, there was no romance there just yet. But that is what makes their story so much more than just a simple love story. Katsuya is someone who takes pride in his job and does not let rest stop him. This is because of his background, where his father was particularly strict on him and by putting him through a lot of pressure as a child, up to the point of him barely gaining any interest in anything because of the constant pressure to be exceptional in everything. But upon meeting Kyoko, he started to feel life again, where he feels that he has a purpose other than serving society. This being Kyoko and his potential. Before their meeting, he had built a wall around himself because that was what kept him from breaking. Katsuya decided to work at a pharmaceutical company because he wanted to find his true self and for his mother who had passed away due to illness. At the same time, Kyoko starts to feel more than just affection for Katsuya and also pushes herself to finish school to show her capabilities to not only Katsuya but to herself. This is the moment when she has found her own inspiration and interest. But like all things in life, there is always a wall blocking our paths. When her fellow gang members found her studying, they decided to beat her up for finding a life outside of their gang. This ends up hurting Kyoko's progress with her education and relationship with Katsuya. She feels that she is a useless human being as her parents says she is, since she was unable to fight back, and the work she has done so far was reduced to trash. This was the final straw for Kyoko's family, and they go as far as kicking her out once she was discharged. With her arm still in recovery, they expect her to stand on her own, showing how little they care for her and how much they only care about their reputation. Even though her parents provided her with shelter, that is not enough for any child. It is a parent's love that helps a child succeed. But this was never the case with Kyoko's family, who just knew how to criticize. However, Katsuya was ready to help her and was even willing to take her away from her negligent family. This was the moment they realized each other's feelings for one another, and they embraced. Then Kyoko got to meet Katsuya's father, who has mellowed out after decades of working. He is no longer the strict parent, but rather a doting elderly man who wants to redeem himself for doing such horrible things to his child. It was safe to say that Kyoko was finally welcomed into a family of her own. Soon after, Kyoko was pregnant and questioned her capability of becoming a good parent. She was afraid she would become just like her horrible parents and remembered the words she had yelled to her mother. Kyoko once asked, "Then why did you give birth to me?" And her mother could not answer. Kyoko then realized what a cruel thing she had said and was afraid her own child would say that to her. Although she is nothing like her family, this moment showed how much they had impacted her, even if indirectly. But Katsuya reassures her and says, "Since you know this child will be a human being, everything will be alright, because we are both human too. Let us remember what made us happy and also what made us sad. Let's raise them while remembering all of that. We'll embrace them, we'll listen to them. If they do something wrong, we will teach them why these things are bad. And if we ever lose control of ourselves and end up hurting this child, we'll apologize for that and hug them again. Together, we will raise this child." And this proved to the both of them that they are not alone, that they are a family. Then, Tohru Honda was born. There were good memories that were made by the family. They went to the beach and Tohru got hit in the head by an absent-minded Kyoko, who fainted from making her child bleed as the calm Katsuya took care of Tohru. They were a wholesome family who was in the process of healing from their trauma. But things didn't stay good for long as Katsuya had passed away from overworking. This left Kyoko and Tohru alone. After the funeral, Kyoko keeps berating herself for not doing more and grieves about the loss of her love who has left her. Even with Katsuya's dad making small visits from time to time, Kyoko had just become an empty shell since Katsuya's passing. She has returned to the time before the two of them had met and despaired of the memories they made together. Kyoko herself would not do much for herself or Tohru, simply sitting there and staring into space. Tohru, not knowing what to do, can only watch as her mother withers away. One day, Kyoko simply just got up and left Tohru alone. She decided to take her own life in order to see Katsuya again. For a long time, she had not realized she had neglected Tohru until she was hanging off the railings and hears a mother with her own child down the road. So she runs back to her home and Tohru was simply waiting there for her mom. This was heartbreaking to see as we learn how much children rely on the love of their parents, and that neglect is still a type of abuse that is commonly seen with children. While there are circumstances that does not make all parents the evildoers we believe they are, there are people who are just not ready or even capable of becoming parents. Children are unable to identify such things as they have never learned what it is. From this point, Kyoko never neglected Tohru again and took great care of her. Despite Katsuya gone, Kyoko has learned to take on the role of a mother and father. As a result, Tohru grew up to be the kindest person alive. She may be naive at times, but she is one of the few individuals who holds a big heart in a world of uncertainties. Soon, Kyoko meets Kyo, our protagonist who holds the spirit of the cat of the zodiac. Kyoko took to him quite early because of his similar orange hair color and feelings of inadequacy. To Kyo, she was a second mother, which he would never admit. Leading up to Kyoko's death, they found solace in one another, but the effect of seeing Kyoko's accident led Kyo to believe he is a monster like everyone says, when Kyoko only saw him as a protector of her precious girl. Although I do not believe in a life after death, I truly believe that Kyoko has reached peace, and that peace being Katsuya, who has taken her away from the darkness and into the light. From there, they make their last visit to the beach and walk hand in hand together. In my opinion, Kyoko and Katsuya's love was truly everlasting, transcending even the prospect of death. For Kyoko, who had always wanted someone to understand and stay with her in the worst of times, and Katsuya, who found his colors again in a world filled with a gray-colored filter. They both found each other in such a beautiful yet ugly world. The message of this movie and the series overall is that life will be full of joy and will be full of sadness too. That is how you will live. But it is because we live like this that we find our answer to our purpose in being on this earth. Well, that is it for the video. I hope you liked it. Comment, share, like, subscribe. You know what to do. I will see you in the next one. Bye!